Hello and welcome to another episode of the Romantasy Readers Podcast. I am Allie and I am joined by my lovely co-host Nicole. How are you doing today, Nicole?
Good. This is a very special episode, a very exciting annual episode that we're about to do today.
Yes, we have a very, very special episode for you guys today because it is our 1-year anniversary.
Woo! Yeah.
I feel like we need like little fireworks or
My
something.
God. I know, fireworks, balloons, whatever. Yeah, sparkles from the sky. Yep. No, all that stuff.
Just imagine all those things, listeners.
Yeah, exactly.
Imagine that we have a high production budget and we can put in all those things.
Exactly. We have some gorgeous guys come through with their muscles out to celebrate all the, morally grey guys that we like to celebrate in our books. And
when we make it big, I think that might have to be how we celebrate is with some muscly guys.
Yeah. Just for you guys, not for us, for you.
Not
just
for us.
More entertainment.
We're not benefiting whatsoever. It's purely in service of our listeners.
That's right.
Purely.
I cannot believe that it has been a year. I cannot.
It's crazy.
And how this all began and where we're at now, it's insane. And not just us, but Bookstagram in general. And
I know.
This whole movement that has just taken the world by storm. We went from being such an underground thing, being into books and romantasy and that, and then slowly you start seeing it in media, seeing there's this romantasy, people taking the world by storm, Sarah J. Maas, it's getting bigger and bigger. And this last year we've seen it all go from being underground to a lot of people now knowing about ACOTAR and Sarah J. Maas and Fourth Wing and all that as well. So what do you think?
The number of people, it's every month I'm getting new people in my life who are finally reading ACOTAR, finally reading Fourth Wing. And it's great. I'm so excited about it. I'm so excited. Not that I have kind of always read, but I definitely re-picked up books in 2020 during the pandemic. And it's just been such a fun 4 years of reading for me. And the last year especially has been incredible with the podcast and my Bookstagram. I just, I did all of this because I just needed people in my life to talk to about books. And I feel like I've achieved that. I did the thing I set out to do, which was find friends on the internet.
I never would have thought. I was happy with maybe 500 people to talk to. If I just had a group of people, I could be like, oh my gosh, I just read this and I'm so excited. That would have been enough. But it just kept growing. And I cannot believe the jackpot when I reached out to Allie and was just this girl, I like how she talks to the camera. I like how she talks. Maybe we could talk about books. We kind of had similar interests, but we did not know each other. We're on other sides of the earth. It was a real gamble. And I feel like somehow the stars aligned and they just knew that we were meant to be book besties and we were meant to have this. It just clicked right from you being let me create a Google Docs because I'm actually in HR and I'm really good at putting documents together and being super organized. And I was awesome, because I'm super bad at that. And I'll
It's so interesting. I don't know if you remember our meet cute is we were both reading the final book in the Stephanie Garber.
Yes,
I can never remember the names of the books.
On a Broken Heart.
Yes, but it was the final one.
And
A Curse for True Love. That's what it is. A Curse for True Love. And I was reading it and you sent me you commented on my post and you were like, let me know if feel free to DM me if you need emotional support. And then I did. And I was like, oh my God, this book. And then we started talking and then here we are a year later.
Thank you, Stephanie Garber, for breaking our hearts with that book and then bringing us together. I read that second book in 8 hours. I just remember I was so obsessed. And it was a YA, far out. But
I know. Imagine how good that book would be if there was spice.
It actually kind of kills me that there isn't, but
Jax would be so good.
Even just a little bit more. Because she always does the grabs and the touches and she suggests it, but she never goes there. It's Stephanie, you just need to take it that next step to bring it for us. But God, I fell in love with Jack. I fell in love with him so hard. And thank God you were there to emotionally support me through that second book because I wasn't coping.
Well, so we have a very fun episode today because we just wanted to celebrate. We're playing games, we're talking about the year, we're doing, just some fun things. Hopefully it'll be a fun episode. I have no idea yet what spoilers there will be,
Um,
because
oh my
I don't know
God.
where our conversation will go. But just assume that there's going to be Fourth Wing and Iron Flame spoilers, and probably Akatar and Crescent City spoilers. So just like assume that.
Yeah, yeah, and I feel like just
Yeah.
in general, like if you have some basic knowledge of, when the moon hatched and the Plate of Prisoner series, some of the big ones we've talked about, we'll try not to go into spoilers into those ones per se because you may not have all read them, but we may just bring up characters. That's probably the biggest
Yeah.
thing. But
Yeah.
we certainly, I think, ACOTAR, any Sarah J. Maas and Fourth Wing and that, we may
Yeah.
jump into theories
And
and
at
stuff.
the
So
very least, we'll put like the spoilers in the kind of episode notes so you can make sure that you're okay if you don't want to get spoiled.
yes, yes, yes.
But it would not be a Romantasy Readers podcast episode if we didn't start with, what are you reading, Nicole? What are you reading this week?
Well, based on your recommendation, well, some people, is it reading or is it listening? I listened to
That
the Audible of Lights Out and oh my God.
So
Wow.
good.
It is spice and a half. It's so good. It's so good. It's so funny. And I think if you like Butcher and Blackbird, that kind of dark romance, but also funny, it's like that. But actually, I think it's even better. I think it's even better than that. I mean, they're different. They're different, but they do have similar vibes with the serial killers and and it's just
the tongue-in-cheek humor of it all, for
yeah,
sure.
you've got this really serious kind of dark romance and what they're doing, but then the characters are so light and frivolous and just wonderful. He's so funny. Josh is so funny.
Well, it's like you're getting the best of both worlds because he is a cinnamon roll as like Josh,
Yes, yes.
but then you also get him as like the dark and broody,
No, he's got a dark
MMC
side.
that we love. You get like the best of both worlds, and that is what I love.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
is what I love.
He's like there with a knife, but then he's like, "Oh my God, are you okay? Oh my God, I need to make sure you're okay." And then this and that.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, he's it's like super complex as to how he is both dark and light in equal measure, but she's balanced it really beautifully to make it wonderful. And I even loved. I've got a nursing background, and the main character, she is a nurse, and I can honestly say that the writer, like, she must be a nurse. She just has to be like Nevessa Allen. Because the humor she brings out, that is such nursing humor. And I'm like, oh, she's worked in a nursing ward before. This is really accurate.
That's
so
awesome.
even for me, I enjoyed that aspect too. But it's super fun and enjoyable, very, very spicy, but I think a great entry to dark romance. If you like dark romance, but you're not sure if you're going to like it or not, this is definitely your introduction because it's lighthearted and funny as well. It just makes it very gentle for all of us I feel like an innocent romantic reader.
I know, I am an innocent romantic one too.
Innocent. My spice is just, like spicy, but not,
they're always in love or,
yeah, there's not
like that.
There's not like knife hilts and anal plugs and things like that. It just takes it to another level.
I'm not really, this is truly like my first real dark romance, I would say. Like, I don't know that Butcher and Blackbird really counts as like a dark romance. It's more of like a rom-com, like a dark rom-com. I haven't read, like, I know you read Haunting Adeline and it wasn't for you. I didn't read it. So this was my first like real foray into it. And I loved Lights Out. I thought it was so good. I thought it was so funny. I just was constantly cracking up, obsessed with everything about it. I inhaled it.
Yeah. Like chalk and cheese to Haunting Adeline. Like they are almost completely different. Where this had that lighthearted aspect, Haunting Adeline is really dark and it's sort of intentionally dark. And look, I'm going to say I appreciate that I read it. I'm glad I read it because I think I wanted to test my limits and see, can I handle this? I had heard, I'd been warned about what it involved, so I knew what I was getting into. I was not shocked by what was in there. But for me, it was probably kind of the lack of consent that kind of got me, that I was kind of like, and some of the stuff just seeming quite like, I don't really think there is any enjoyment for her here whatsoever, and this is not really cool with me, that kind of got me to that point where I was like, and this is only the first book. I've heard the second book is even worse. But I also felt like then she had to add these super evil characters to make it seem like the MMC wasn't that bad, but they
Mm.
like had to get the worst of the worst to be like, oh, well, compare them. They're like, one is like she's not consenting, but like he knows she will eventually, versus the one that's gonna serial killer. I don't know. It was just kind of, for me, it was just very, very dark. And look, some people that floats their boat, and that's awesome. It wasn't
You
for
like
me.
what you like. That's our motto.
Exactly. Look, as I say, I appreciate that I read it. I kind of got to the end and I'm like, I'm really glad I read that. It's probably not what I would read, but I've read it. Like, so as I say, it's weird to say, you just sometimes you got to like climb that mountain, and like, I'm never doing that again, but I'm glad I did it. That's kind of where
Yeah.
I'm at this morning, Adeline.
If you guys are kind of like us, where like maybe you're like a little innocent romantasy reader, but you want to test the waters with Lights Out, I think it's a good option. I have a funny story to tell about Lights Out. So I had like the worst possible, like this is like what people make Instagram reels about as jokes. So I was listening to this book while I was on a work trip. Because when I travel for work, I do a lot of audiobooks because I'm alone, like alone in my hotel room at night. Like, it's kind of sometimes like I don't really like to watch TV. You have a lot of like commuting or traveling, you're on the plane. It's a little weird to listen to on
Yeah,
a
I
plane, but
know
hey, whatever.
what's going to happen here. This
Yeah,
is a
yeah.
dangerous book to read on audio. Yeah.
I know. But so that's not what happened. But so I'm out at like an event, and somebody asks me, like, because they know that I read all the time. They're like, Allie, what are you reading right now? And I should have just lied. I should have just lied. And I didn't. I should have just been like, I'm reading a book about fairies and
Yeah,
left it at
I am
that.
reading ACOTAR again.
And then so I proceeded to tell them, and then like their face was like, uh-huh. And then I just kept digging myself into the hole. I was like, but like it's funny, and like it's not, it has like a really good vibe and tone, and it sounds like it's really bad because he's stalking her, but he's not. And like I just like dug myself in, and my colleague was like, cool. So
Allie's weird. Okay. She's
yeah.
doing some crazy stuff. I know. I tried to tell my friend about it. I was like, oh my God, I think you really like this, And then I started trying to explain. And then somehow I got onto the knife hilt, and she was just like, oh my God. And she was like, that just sounds traumatic. And I'm like, yeah, well, I mean, it's not like I would ever do it or anything like in real life. It's like, but it's, yeah, but like I think he stabbed it right into the mattress. So there was like no knife inside. It was just
Yeah, exactly. She was saying
worse and worse, and you're just like, I just need to stop now. Like, people just either need to go read it or not. Like, I don't know, read the blurb and decide for yourself. You got to fall in love with the characters to understand how they get to the points that they do. And maybe because of the amount of things that we've read, even in romantasy, we're not that innocent. So when we get thrown these new and exciting, kinky scenes, we are not as shocked as people who do not read romantasy are. So yeah. Anyway, fun times. What are you reading?
Yeah, so we just spent the first 10 minutes of the episode talking about Lights Out. I am reading. I'm still in my hockey romance era.
Mhm.
So I just finished Offside, which is like your classic kind of college hockey romance. I really, really liked it. I thought it was really good.
Yeah.
And then now I finally started Icebreaker. I've heard, because Icebreaker is like the hockey romance, like the popular one.
Yeah.
And I've heard
I've
such
done it.
mixed reviews about it,
Yeah.
so I kind of wanted to not read it first.
Yep.
So I've read a couple. Now and by read, I'm listening to it. I'm listening to Icebreaker,
Mhm.
which is still reading. So that is what I'm doing, and I'm liking Icebreaker so far. I'm not.
Well, I read it, and look, it was
Oh, you
great. It
did
was
read it.
light and it was easy. It's not a romantasy for me,
No.
but it's an entertaining read. Like, it's a light, entertaining read. It's good fun. Don't have to overdo it. Like,
I'm working on, I just like sometimes when I'm like really busy at work, or I have a lot of things going on in my personal life, like I do right now because I have a broken ankle and all these things. I don't want to do the romantasy, like the epic stuff is a little too much for me. So
but you still have
it's
to do
nice
the
to have
twisted tone. Like, I've
I
literally seen
know.
homework saying you have to, and like, you'll read it so quickly. It's
I
like,
know. I want to read it. I just have this block. I'm like, it's going to be so intense, and I just want something light right now.
oh, but like, it's still Danielle Jensen. Like, so
Yeah.
how like even like A Fate Inked in Blood, it's just you're so caught up in it from that. Like, as I say, I literally turned it on thinking, oh, I'll just listen to this for the half an hour while I'm doing this chore at home and then got completely sucked in, as she does. Like, she's amazing. And yeah, I've definitely set that homework for Alley to tell her that she should. Also because, and this is going to Allie's novel, because Allie's novel is very similar to Danielle Jensen with a lot of the court intrigue and things like that. So I've said to Allie, you really should also read it just to compare it to what you've written, because it's so interesting how Danielle has all this court intrigue, but also keeps it so like adventurous and just, I don't know, she's got storms and lots of things happening that just constantly keep you on the edge of your seat. So I think she's an amazing writer of that genre.
She is. And it is so hard to balance palace intrigue with action, because palace intrigue is all about like laying little secrets and like conversations that characters are having between them, and so it can be really hard to make sure you get enough action in there too. So I'm gonna read it. I just I gotta get through I'm just in my hockey era. I just really like hockey right now.
Well, let's talk for a minute. Let's change track and talk about what we have achieved so far from our podcast. So we have published 40 episodes.
Over 40 plus.
40 plus. We've now got over 500 regular listeners on Spotify. How many plays? 7,000 plays, which is amazing.
Somewhere between that. It's probably closer to 8,000 now. Yeah. A lot of plays. Yeah.
YouTube is 30,000 views. 30,000 views. We've got 255 subscribers. We're currently like trying to get to 500. We're like, come on, guys, we want to get to 500. Like, that's such a nice round number. And I love it. I love it because every week I have people coming forward to me and just like contacting me, particularly about Bryce Asriel a lot of the time, but just reaching out to me going, oh my God, I've watched this episode 3 times. I'm obsessed. Or just saying that they love hearing our conversations and it's really fun. And so I slowly but surely, I feel like we're slowly infiltrating the
yes, yeah.
And hopefully people are enjoying this. We're having so much fun. It's been an amazing ride. And then like probably my favorite thing about doing this podcast, which is completely selfish, has been all the like authors that we've interviewed. We've had a reasonable professional excuse to interview them. Like, oh, we're a professional podcast. Please come along, Danielle Jensen or Penn Cole or Sarah A. Parker.
Weaver. We've interviewed like all of the popular names.
Amazing. And we have more coming, guys. We have more coming. So we're super excited. Yeah. But that's been, let's say, not just for you guys, it's also been so selfish for ourselves just to have a reason to ask them like all the questions that you like get left with that you want to ask them. It's been amazing.
Yeah. And I don't know, I feel like we're it makes me feel like such an insider, like in the industry when I'm like, oh, I was just talking to Sarah A. Parker the other day. Like I feel so like
I was just saying this morning that I just saw like Rebecca Yarros shared that she just got Danielle Jensen's like novels, and I just felt like such a wait, we're kind of friends with Danielle. Like, we've interviewed her. Like, she responds to our messages, and I was like, so like she knows Rebecca, and that's only like one separation. Like, we're practically friends. Okay, I can basically just like contact Rebecca now and be like, hey, so like by the second signet, do you want to tell me more about that? Like, that'd be great.
About that. Yeah. You recently, not recently, but pretty recently hit a huge milestone on your Bookstagram. You got 20,000 followers. Yes, you've been doing so good. I'm still like crawling my way to 16,000. It's it's crazy. It just goes up and down. You have big periods.
It's like Instagram's a strange thing. Like, one minute you've got people and then but look, I'm thankful for every person, as I said, whether it's 500 or 20K. I try to get back to everyone. I try and respond to everyone. And I'm always trying to find things that are interesting for people, that keep it light and fun and entertaining, and keep you guys up to date with the information that's out there on Bookstagram. So I hope that it's helpful. I have so much fun doing it, but I want everyone to feel like we still just want to be in contact with everyone. This is all about having contact and sharing these books and celebrating these books, and I always want to do that. So
I respond to every DM I get, but I also like, people are always asking me to read their books or something like that. I love getting asked, but I just like, I make it a point where like, if I tell you I will read it, I read it. So I also then have to tell a lot of people no. I wish I had all the time in the world to read. I wish I could do this just like nonstop, but
Yeah, yeah. And for us to have like deep dives into some theories into the big books, we need to read them multiple times. So we can't always, unfortunately, spend a ton of time reading new and emerging books. But we try and definitely get to a few. Any of the ones that we really get. Ali tends to be, she's the master of reading like 3 books at once, whereas I'm like a one at a time
yeah,
kind of person. So she'll generally come to me and say, Nick, this is an amazing book. You need to pick this up and we need to talk about it. So
yeah,
we're always on the hunt for
definitely.
that as well. All right.
Well, I want to ask you in this last year, what have been some of your favorite episodes that we've made?
Favorite episodes. I love this was our episode that was just like thwart with it's just cursed. And that was our prisoner episode. And it was our first kind of I loved it because it was the first one that just wasn't about like Fourth Wing or Sarah J. Maas, and
Yeah,
it was,
it was.
it's such an amazing story. But I think just the technical difficulties we had trying to get this, my sound was off, it was terrible. We were definitely learning, but I thought we actually had some great theories, and I love because now we've done the full circle where then we did get the final book, and we're actually able to pull all those theories out and compare them and go, did we hit the mark? Did we not hit the mark? It was super fun to have that for the first time, and I'm also super excited because we've got Raven Kennedy. We're interviewing her soon, so I'm so excited about that. That's going to be awesome. I also loved our Sarah A. Parker interview. She was just amazing, absolutely
She's awesome.
amazing. She is
Yeah.
so funny and lovely and beautiful, and she gave us so much information. She honestly felt so guilty through our whole like pass or answer section. Rather than saying pass, she kept being like, "Oh, I can't answer that. You're just gonna have to wait for the second book." And she felt guilty with every single one. And I was just like, Sarah, you're actually allowed to pass. Like, we fully expect you to pass on all these questions. But she's a sweetheart, and that was amazing. And my final one is my love, my obsession, and that is our Bryce Serial episode, because that was, look, it was, you know what, it didn't come just from us. This is from a group of people that have done a whole ton of work in the background researching and finding information. And it was just so amazing to get that ourselves, first to have our minds blown with that information, and then say,
Mhm.
are you okay if we share this? Like, I feel like it needs to get out there. People need to hear about this. And all those people are quite shy and don't want to be on a podcast. So they were like, yes, 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 here's our information. And we're like, okay, that's fine. But I get people contact me every week about that, and which is just amazing. And I think we need to bring more, not just about Bryce Ariel, but just about a lot of the theories that we hear about with the Sarah J. Maas and even Fourth Wing. And I just really want to break them down for you. I want to try and get that information, run it through our subject matter experts, and then bring you the breakdown, because I think that's what people want to see, or they want to hear. And it's super fun getting that information out.
Yeah. And that is our most popular episode to date on all platforms. So on YouTube, at least there's 2 parts. Part 1, I think, is the most popular, but on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, so most popular episode.
Yeah, absolutely.
Um,
How about you?
My favorite episodes are, so I really, really liked our countdown to Crescent City episodes, because it was the first time that we had really gotten to do any kind of deep dive on the podcast into Sarah J. Maas. And so that, was something that I was super excited about. You and I have constantly toyed with the idea of going back and like either, rereading ACOTAR together or rereading Throne of Glass. It's tough with all the other books coming out that we want to talk about and interviews and things like that. So it was just like so fun to have that excuse to really deep dive,
100%.
especially before we had CC3, when we were still just like so incredibly excited and hopeful about the Massverse,
And the way that we went into, like, I was like, look at page 666. Like, it's obviously important. It's 666, like the devil. And then, and I've like got all these theories about what it meant. And I think we got to Hofast and we was like, that meant nothing.
That meant nothing.
There was no love with Adis. I don't know what I was talking about.
The clowning was so fun.
It was so fun.
And then I did love introducing you, like doing all of our episodes on Plated Prisoner. And then, of course, I cannot forget my Taylor Swift episode. With Pink, it did so badly. Nobody listened to it.
Oh,
okay.
So much work on that episode. Like, Allie literally broke down all the books, all Taylor Swift. It's just, I guess
I
it's a
had like
mixed
15
bag.
pages of notes, and we don't really do a lot of notes for this podcast. Like we try to keep it unscripted, and I was like prepared. I had 15 pages of notes. I talked all about Taylor Swift, and yeah, there were some
Right,
listeners,
look,
but it was,
you
it was still
inspired
fun.
me. I went from, like, liking Taylor Swift very little to liking her more than I did before the episode.
Well, that's
Like,
good.
I had a newfound respect for her story, like, for her music, and I had a lot more understanding about where, like, Taylor Swift fans, how they've kind of gotten to where they are now and what the whole, like, I don't know, what they're all excited about, which was super cool. And I think super important because we know, like, Sarah J. Maas and that love Taylor Swift. We only just, like, her most recent share was her with her family at a Taylor Swift concert. So we know that that music is influencing our writers. So it's good to have our expert knowledge from Alley to tell us more about what it could all mean. So
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I think we've already talked about this, but what's your favorite author interview?
Sarah A. Parker. Yeah. I
Yeah,
mean,
I know.
they've
Me
all, look, honestly, they've all been amazing. Like, well, maybe with the exception of, like, yeah, most, all the ones that we have invited to here have been amazing. Penn Cole was amazing. Sarah A. Parker is just such a standout, maybe because the book is amazing and it felt like interviewing Sarah J. Maas. Like, it was like, this
Yeah,
book is
yeah.
so deep and just rich. And there was just so many questions I wanted to ask her, and she was so beautiful, even if she couldn't answer a lot of them. I cannot wait to have her back when we get book 2.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and yes, I think that was a real standout. But honestly, every single one of them, Danielle, they've all brought something and explained even how they write and how they've all got an interesting take on how they've built these amazing worlds and these amazing stories. And I've just loved every episode that we've done. How about
Mhm,
you?
mhm. Yeah, Sarah A. Parker was really fun. I also think the Bryn Weaver episode was really fun. I feel like we really clicked with Bryn a
Yeah,
lot. We
yeah.
had a lot of humor. She was very funny.
Funny.
And that was one of our early kind of big names to
Yeah,
get, and
it
that
was.
was a really great one. So,
I remember when, like, we
um,
got the email because, like, you're a little podcast and then you get an
yeah.
email back saying, "Yes, let's book in a
Yes.
day." Like, "Yes, I'm available on the 26th." And you're just, like, clearing your calendar. You're just like, "Guys," it's like, "Oh my God, they've said yes." It's like, "Okay, let's just, like, clear the calendar." It was so exciting. And now that we've got a few names, it's a bit easier to pull those authors in and say, "Hey, we've interviewed a few other people." So hopefully we're just making friends with them one at a time. So
Yeah. Yeah, and as they release more books, hopefully we can bring them back. I cannot wait to bring Sarah A. Parker back. Like,
oh
so
my God,
excited about
I'm so
that.
excited. So
Yeah,
exciting. Yeah.
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 Any other favorite moments this year? Do you have any other favorite moments or maybe some embarrassing moments?
I think what have I got? It's like, well, I mean, I think Bryn Weaver was our first big name. But I think it took so much to land Danielle Jensen. I was back and forthing with her. Well, not just with her, I was trying to get in contact with her, like, not assistant, but like her manager, whatever, who just wouldn't get back to me. It took ages. But anyway, I eventually was able to go direct to the source and I managed to get that interview, which was pretty amazing. I think it wasn't exactly it did turn into an episode, but Rebecca Yaros coming to Melbourne was a huge, I mean, was
Yeah.
the most popular thing we've got on our YouTube right now. While it isn't exactly an episode, I was there and I just pulled out my camera and I was like, they've told us to film this. All okay, so I'm filming this whole thing. Like, so, but
And she answered your question. You got called out
I
on
know,
stage as Nicole
I
McCullough.
know. It was so, because I was trying to think, how do I structure these questions that they're like open-ended and like she can maybe answer it? Not that she did, but at least she like raised her eyebrows and was like, I can't answer that, but told us that it was important. So that was awesome. And then she spilt so much tea, that interview, and then we're able to do a whole episode with the breakdown. And I think that's had an impact on like what we're now thinking with our theories about what Onyx Storm is going to be. So that was very funny. The most embarrassing moment for me was when I was doing the interview with Danielle Jensen and I wore the Viking hat that like dangles and jingles. And like initially it was funny, but then like Danielle's a very serious author. Yeah, and I don't know, but after a while the questions just kept going on. And then I was like, it was too awkward to take the hat off because I hadn't finished the segment, but I was also just sitting there with this ridiculous red and white Viking hat on. And I'm just like, it's fine. Just got no. That's all right. Everyone knows that is what you get with me sometimes, but hopefully
Yeah.
everyone has a laugh. So yeah.
Yes.
How about
Yes.
how about you?
Well, the amount of effort and work that I put into the Taylor Swift episode was a little embarrassing. Just that I had like 15 pages of notes, because I'm a real Swiftie. Fan casting Fourth Wing was super fun.
Mhm.
And
That was super fun.
like also doing like the countdown of Zayden, where we did like one Zayden fan cast a day up until Christmas. I thought that was like on Instagram. That was such a fun little
It was
thing that
so
we
fun.
did.
Yep.
So yeah,
That was so
it's
cool. Yeah.
crazy to
And that
think
was
that.
earlier on. That was earlier on that we did that. Like, so that
Yeah,
was, yeah.
it's pretty
I
early.
loved it.
What's your best book of the year that you've read so far this year?
It's hard. It's hard. There's a lot of good contenders. There are
I'm
honestly a
good.
lot of good contenders. I feel like I keep every time I read a new book, I'm like, this is the best book of the year, and I'm just like, okay.
I know.
But I don't know. For me, When the Moon Hatched, I just
Yeah.
feel like it's got the most potential for
Mhm.
this big epic world. I know people feel differently. Most people love it, but you get some mixed reactions, and but I just that depth of world and where I think that story is going to go. I'm so excited. As I say, when I read that, when I talk to Sarah, I feel like it's Sarah J. Maas level. And that's why, for me, I feel like that's the biggest one of the year. How about you?
Mhm. It is When the Moon Hatched. That's my favorite book of the year. But I'll give you like my runner up, just to have
Yeah.
something a
Mhm,
little bit different
mhm.
to say. For me, my second place, and this was my best book of the year until I read When the Moon Hatched, and that was Bride, which really surprised me
Oh,
because it's such a kind of
interesting.
small, tight book. But I just thought Bride was so well done. I thought
Mhm.
every word mattered.
Yeah,
Like
yeah. Ellie Hazelwood's a master. She's
the
so
master.
smart. She's so good.
Mhm.
Yeah. No, I
Mhm.
love that.
And
I
to get that master craft with a, kind of fantasy adjacent environment, I just loved it so
Yeah,
much.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, honorable mentions are obviously also Spuck the Everflame. That whole series is amazing. Like,
Amazing.
that's a very close second for me. Like, really, like, it's hard to pick. And it's ever so slight. Honestly, they're slightly different. So it's really actually hard to put them side by side and say which one
Yeah,
you pick.
because they're so
I
different.
love them both so, so much. And then what was there was one other one that I was thinking was also Kingfisher. Quicksilver was also
Quicksilver,
a
yeah.
really great honorable
That's
mention.
another runner-up for me too.
Yeah,
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 that
yeah.
one
Just an
is also incredible.
awesome. Yeah, yeah. They were some real standouts for this year. So we've had some from a year where I think we had Iron Flame, which had this amazing, crazy ending, but maybe didn't quite hit the mark like we thought it would, like it did with Fourth Wing. Then we had Hofast, which was very, very questionable as to how people felt about that book. We had some amazing books come up out of the, came up out of the
Yeah,
ether and were
yeah.
really, really amazing. So
Totally. It is the year of like independent authors.
it really
Because
is.
Quicksilver was published independently, When the Moon Hatched was published independently. Um, so there's many, many more. I'm
Yeah,
leaving a lot out, but just
yeah.
all of the Spark of the Everflame stuff. So yeah, I'm excited to see what indie authors can do in the next year.
Yeah, that's right. None in particular, but so some starting with
Not in particular. No, no one single indie author in particular.
Alexandra.
Alexandria Arden. Go follow her on Instagram. But yeah, it's good. Do you have I mean, I think we're both gonna say the same thing, but like, do you have a worst book of the year?
Look, obviously, and this is more around a book that was meant to be amazing. Like, this is still kind of in your 5-star category. It's not
Yeah.
saying that it's a
Yeah.
bad book. It just wasn't as good as we wanted it to be. I think there are obviously books that are terrible. Like, but
Yeah.
we're not talking
I've
about
read
those.
some actual
We're
bad
talking
books this
about
year.
ones that didn't
Yeah.
quite hit the mark, and that's Crescent City 3, Hofast.
Yeah.
I think look, for me, part 1 was amazing. I loved part 1. That was whatever that book's going to be, that was 6 stars. But the rest of it just really fell
Yeah.
away. There's so many plot holes. So many people came out of it not happy. The ending was weird and didn't make sense. And it just felt, I don't know, it just felt complex and rushed in equal measure. And I don't know if it didn't hit the mark intentionally or unintentionally, but it just didn't really hit the mark for the audience.
Yeah, I agree. That is probably for me the same thing. The only other again mention I would make was like for me the fifth book of Plated Prisoner series Gold was not it didn't also hit it's not that it hit the mark, it just I wanted a lot more from it. But the good news is then we got Goldfinch, and Goldfinch to me was
Well, it was, and
incredible.
I
I
think we kind of
love
said
Goldfinch.
that, like, it was almost like obviously she had to sort of separate the books into two because it was too
Yeah,
much. But it was like Gold was all build up with no bang, and
yeah,
then Goldfinch was pure bang. It was like
all the bang.
literally
Yeah,
full bang, and it was almost like she almost needed to just divide that a little bit. I did feel like there was maybe a few parts she could have added to Gold to make that a little bit more. Like I felt like with oh my god, I'm gonna like I would say like 2 weeks ago, and now I can't remember the names of the characters. Like Bluebell and anyway, one Osric. That romance, I
yeah,
felt like that
yeah.
romance could have been in Gold, and that would have at least had I know a bit of nice closure in that one, whereas it got kind of rushed in Goldfinch. So they were some of the like feelings, but yeah, I definitely know where you're coming from.
Mhm,
Just
mhm.
that having to divide them, I guess, is always a challenging process. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yes.
nice.
What are you looking forward to for 2025? What books are you most excited
Oh,
about?
I'm looking forward to like finally getting an update on when the next ACOTAR is going to come out. Like, who cares about books? I just want an
It
update.
doesn't even I don't even need the book to be released. I just need some update.
Oh, that's what my like it's not what I want, it's what I need. I
Yeah.
need that. Like my being needs to know when that's coming out because I'm really not coping with not having any information. So that's number one. Um like it's got to be Onyx Storm. Like Onyx Storm
Yeah.
is the most exciting book. I'm also obviously really looking forward to the When the Moon Hatched sequel. There's definitely going to be some great ones, but yeah, it'd be Onyx
The
Storm
quick
for books that
potential Quicksilver
coming out.
sequel. I don't think this is coming out in 2025, but I'm just going to put it out here as like a hopeful, like maybe the universe will make it
Maybe.
happen. But we know that Allie Hazelwood is writing a sequel to
Yes,
Bride. So like
I
maybe we could get
do.
it in late
I think there's
2025.
a good chance because she's outlined that she's writing it. And she
Yeah.
does a smaller book and she churns them out like there's no tomorrow. So I would say there's
Yeah.
a high chance we're getting it in 2025 for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. And that is something I'm so excited for because when we read it, I was like, there has to be a sequel.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes. Um, okay. I think anything else before we go into games? I think we've kind of covered everything else,
hmm
in different
Yeah,
sections.
yeah.
We always have an outline and then we
Yes,
never can
yes.
follow it.
Let's pause for a minute because I've just got to take a phone call and let's just
Sure.
have a couple of minutes break. I just got to check on my son. I'm just thinking because we're probably at the halfway point. Let's pause for a second and then I'll just hit the pause button now. Do you want? Okay, we are back on.
Okay, I think it's time for some games now. So we're gonna jump into some fun games. The
Okay.
first game is a game that I have, and it is inspired by Instagram, the trend of the "Hear Me Out" cake. And so, if you haven't seen these videos, usually women get together and they're hanging out, and they have a cake, and then they have like printouts of fictional characters, and they're like, "Hear me out. This person is like actually attractive or something." We do not have a cake because we're not together. But we're gonna do the exercise anyway. So we're gonna have a hear me out. We both have picked 5 people that were like, hear me out on this. Like maybe they are crazy to be attracted to, but we are maybe a little attracted to them.
Mhm.
So
Okay. All
Nicole,
right.
who is your first hear me out?
Okay, I don't have pictures or anything, but maybe we can put that
No,
on a
no, no,
later
me
stage.
neither.
Well, actually, we don't really have pictures of them because they're characters.
The characters,
Okay,
yeah.
my first one is Osric from The Plated Prisoner because
Okay, that is not even a hear me out. He is so attractive.
I mean, he's not the main MMC, and I'm
That's
obsessed
true.
with
That's
Kingfisher.
true.
But like, God, he's lovable. He's a big, lovable bear of love, and he just like would just
Yeah.
throw you over his shoulder and keep you forever. And I just adored him. So
Yeah. I would even some of mine are like this too, but especially like maybe like Osric in like book 1 or 2, before you really know much about him and he just comes across as this like burly, beefy man and you're like,
mhm,
"Okay, well, hear me out. Osric could be
yeah,
more than just a
okay,
burly guy."
okay, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, my first hear me out is Taryn. I don't know. There's something about Taryn that's like his, again, like it's not
Rough
physically, but his
voice.
like personality and his voice and like, just like, that like he's pretty good. He treats Sigale good.
If you were a dragon, he's the dragon you'd want. He's
You.
your shadow daddy
Exactly.
dragon.
If
Like,
he was a shapeshifter, if he could shift into a Fey
like,
body, we would be so into Taryn.
from Blood and Ash, like from
Yeah.
Fire in the Flesh, like Jennifer Armentrout, where they can potentially transition. That would be that was
We would
hot.
be
Actually,
all
that
over
was.
Taryn if he was a shifter. So just saying.
Oh man, okay, I think I need to redo these. I didn't quite understand the question. I just wrote down my favorites, and I didn't make them like shocking enough. I might have to think this through as we're talking. But my next one is probably kind of makes sense to a degree. It's not a dragon. It's Carrion from.
Carrion Swim. Yeah. No,
Yes,
that's a good hear me out. That's a
I
good hear
mean,
me out.
I had a thing for him. So I was like, he just doubled in size. He just doubled in size, and he's a Fae now. And I'm meant to be in love with Kingfisher, and God, definitely love Kingfisher. And I do now, especially now having finished the audiobook. Yes, I don't think Kingfisher and that are ever going to like change. I think that's pretty solid, but I still think we've got more for Sarah. I think maybe Carrion is set up for who is the princess. I'm trying to remember her name now off the top of my head. The princess, because the one that like got taken by the vampires, and they've never met.
No, they've never met, but Kingfisher's friend is like in love with her. So it's like, it's hard to know what's going to happen. But no, yeah, Carrion is like, we should absolutely be into him because there's something else for him.
Yeah.
Okay, this is my next one. Mine, I like tried to make mine really shocking, but also like believable. Okay, Randall, Bryce's stepdad.
Well, yeah. I mean, like, no, but yes, I also get it. Like, I think they're like good looking. He's so lovable. He's such a keeper.
He like rescued, like he is an MMC. He rescued Ember from the Autumn King and like kept her safe and like traveled with her while she was pregnant, like kept her safe from the Autumn King's like men chasing them. And then he like left the church or the temple or whatever that he served so that he could be with her. Like that is some MMC vibes, okay?
Yeah. 100%. No, that's a good one. It's like, I like it. Like, it's not someone you would think to like. It's like how people love the dad in Twilight now. Like how they're all like, when they were young, they were totally into Edward, and now they're older and they're like, oh my God, check out the dad. Hello.
Exactly.
Our vibes have matured. Well, okay, I'm having to quickly shift up my options because, well, hang on, I need to think of a villain. I need to think because I love okay, hang on. I'm gonna break the rules slightly, and not that this is a shock because everyone feels this way, but like the new Lord of the Rings of Power,
yes,
Sauron.
Yeah,
I mean,
that is a great hear me
everyone loves it. I love a villain, and I love a villain redemption, and I detest that so many, like I just did a post on the Darkling from Shadow and Bone, and like everyone's in agreement. They're like, how can you have a Shadow Daddy and not have a redemption arc? Like, obviously this book was written before our real Shadow Daddy era came about, but it's just unheard of to have that level of power and not have that be your end game love interest. So I'm so glad that a lot of authors like Raymond Kennedy have actually really gone to a place where we explore a romance with that shadow, dark villain, sort of morally grey character. But yeah, look, Sauron is obviously full villain, like full-blown villain. Like you watch Lord of the Rings, he's terrifying. He's not even a person, he's an eye. Like in the Rings of Power, he's hot. He's actually blonde, which is not my type, but just the vibes, the chemistry between him and Galadriel, it is hot, and I just want the whole story changed just because now I want this romance. Like, yeah.
Okay, I have another one. This is not a shocking one. This one I feel like does make sense, and there's a lot of people who are into this person, but hear me out, Eris.
Oh yeah, hells yeah. Like morally grey. Like we want a happy ending. Like especially because we've started to see these little aspects of him being like doing things for a reason. Like we're starting to feel like he's not pure bad. He's definitely very morally grey. He does things for his own agenda. But damn, we kind of like
But maybe his
him.
agenda is not going to be that bad, Like, I
Yeah.
don't know.
Mhm.
Find out.
Mhm. Yep. No, I get that. Okay. This one is super controversial. A lot of people are going to hate it. Tamlin. Hear me out, Tamlin.
No!
This is
Okay, you have to justify this.
okay. Well, okay. A lot of people have outlined that Tamlin has already had somewhat of a redemption. He has gone and helped Rhysand. He has helped Feyre. He actually did a lot of good for Feyre. He looked after her family. He's bad, but he's not all bad. And I would like to think he has a redemption arc. I really like the idea of the Beauty and the Beast, theory that like maybe him and Elaine will actually end up together and rule like Spring
I'm
Court.
obsessed with that
It's
theory,
like
yeah.
I also want Lucian to have his happy ending, but there's so no like vibes there right now, and I kind of just want to see Tamlin and Elaine in a room together. I just kind of want to see where that goes and if there's anything
And he
there.
is hot. He's
He is
blonde,
very
but he's
hot. Like,
hot.
God, we were in
Yeah.
love with him. This is the
We were
question. This is
so
a
in love with him.
challenge for Sarah J. Maas. Could she make
Yeah.
us fall in love with him again? Could we, as like readers, have a full circle? Could we go from loving to hating to loving again? Is that possible? I'm curious to see where Sarah will take that.
That seems like a fun challenge for her,
Mm-hmm.
Okay, my next Hear Me Out, I don't think you've read this series, so I'm just throwing it out here for people who have read it. It's from the Nightfire Quartet series by Nisha J. Tully, and there is a character who's like a father figure, and so his name is Ro. So he is like a dad, but he is also like super powerful and like took care of his love's daughter after his like love died, and very MMC vibes, very hot, has like tattoos and stuff, but he's like old. So, he's a Hear Me Out, but that's my other one, Ro from the Nightfire Quartet series.
Yes, yes.
Um
Okay, I've got a final one, but I'm just like, oh, should I do like I want it to be more shocking. It's not that shocking because a lot of people love
my
this
last one is
character.
very shocking. I saved the best for last.
Okay, all right, we'll do yours last. All right, my last one is Riddick. Riddick, okay? He is our lovable larrikin. Sometimes he doesn't come across as romance potential, but I love a bit of a comedian. I would actually love to see so much more of Riddick and see him kind of, maybe like show his manly side more and things like that, and then really kind of get that. But I love a sense of humor. That's why I love Carrion as well. I think as much as I love the dark, mysterious shadow daddies, you bring me a sense of humor and suddenly I'm just melting, and I don't care if they've got man bods and like they're not as hot and hunky. I mean, maybe in real life I would feel differently, but I love a sense of humor. So I'm going to put Riddick in there.
Okay. My last one is also from Fourth Wing.
Okay.
Hear Me Out.
It's not the Venom, is it?
The Sage.
How did I predict
Okay, hear me out.
I love those red eyes and those veins.
Okay, but the Sage is super powerful, super mysterious. You know what I mean? Like he can dream walk. He can walk into people's dreams. That has some MMC. Like that could be like Shadow Daddy type vibe. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't think he always has red eyes. Like I think he's so powerful that he can like kind of hide it, and he's very just like mysterious and dark and like I don't know, like there's something about the Sage that like he could be interesting.
Well, I really shocked myself because I'm such a fan of a villain, and like in the Rings of Power there was Arda, and I seriously follow Sam Hazeldine now, and he followed me back, so I feel like semi-famous and I know an actor. He's not really that big, but anyway, he was a freaking like bad like gray and character, physically grey. But then at like one stage he changes back to like what he originally looked like, and he was so handsome. And then I was just like, and he was doing evil things, but then we found out they were for a reason and they were from a really loving place. And that was just, once I hear that, I melt like a pound of butter. Like when I hear that they actually did it for these really like romantic, beautiful reasons. And so, I can definitely, the Sage is pretty far away. Like it's pretty... don't think we're going to get the soft side of the sage. I feel like
No,
he's full-blown
but we
villain,
might.
but I love the theory.
Yeah, you never know. You
My
never know.
God,
I'm not saying that, like, he is
can you
good now. I'm just saying, like,
imagine?
he could be really interesting and really
Could you
attractive.
imagine if, like, Rebecca, like, she didn't have Xaden as the end game plan and it was the sage? And, like, that would be crazy. That would be super crazy.
Yeah,
But
that would be crazy. I
I
don't
don't
think
think
that's
it would
gonna
happen.
happen, but you never know.
But if it
You
was a
never
bit of
know.
a Pleated Prisoner series or something like that, you'd possibly could see something like where this whole new character comes in
Yeah,
the third book. But I don't think Rebecca's going to do that to us. I think she made Xaden too damn lovable to ever.
yeah, I think
I think
so. I think
I
so
think the
too.
whole world would riot if it wasn't Xaden.
The entire world. The entire
Yeah.
world. Okay, well, that is my game.
Okay.
So yeah, let us
My
know in the
turn.
comments who your Hear Me Out characters are.
Okay.
And
All
we'll
right.
answer
The next
questions.
one is my game, and we are playing a Would You Rather. So I'm going to ask Ali a series of questions, and she has to decide who she would pick or what she would rather do. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. Would you rather have a one night stand with Carrion or Riddick?
Carrion, 100%. Yeah.
And why would
She
that be?
because we know, we have evidence in the book that Carrion is a good lover
Oh,
because
yes, yes,
Sarah
that's
talks
right.
about it.
Mm-hmm.
She talks about how she didn't want him to be good in bed, but he was really good in bed. And we
Mm-hmm.
don't know anything about Riddick. We don't actually know if he's good. So Carrion for
Yeah.
me, 100,
Yeah.
hands
And he's
down.
like a fae and he's like 6 foot, 7 foot
Yeah,
tall now or
yeah,
something. Like he
yeah.
actually sounds like he's even bigger than Kingfisher now. Like that's just how it came across. So yeah, I would 100% stand by that. Okay. Would you rather live in the Plated Prisoner world or the Quicksilver world?
Ooh, that's a hard one. That's a really hard
Yeah.
one.
And it's like, of
I
course, those worlds have different places in them as well. So
Yeah. I think I'm gonna go with the plated prisoner world because it seems like there's a lot of different types of magic and a lot of different types of like fae, and like the fae look a little bit different. Like they can have wings, they can, like, it just seems more unique. So I'm gonna go with plated prisoner. What about you?
yeah. I think I would go the same. I think mainly for me it's around the weather and it's like uh in Quicksilver, they're either in the desert with no water or they're in a permanent snow realm, which neither of those options, and there's vampires, which is a bit intense. Whereas like
Yeah.
Plated Prisoner, well, there's obviously like I feel like saying level section 4 or whatever, like that King Ravenger's from, which sounds quite
The
nice.
districts or
And there's
whatever.
also
Yeah.
the Fey realm, and that seems pretty cool as well. So and it's got King Ravenger, so that would there's a lot of good options there to like
Yeah.
explore. So yeah, I think
Yeah.
I'd love to be in that Fey world in Plated Prisoner. So yeah,
Yeah.
that'd be my option too. Okay. Would you rather be besties with Ceres or Rave? So Rave from When the Moon
Ooh.
Hatched or Ceres from Quicksilver?
That is an amazing question. I think I'm gonna pick Ceres
Okay.
because I feel like even though Ceres is also, like hard, gruff edges, she warms to people a little bit faster than Rave does. And I
Yeah.
feel like it would take a really long time for Rave to like actually be your friend. Whereas like Ceres, it would only take, you guys could become besties in like a couple weeks. Um, so that's for me. But also on the other hand, Rave is like clearly so loyal when she
Oh,
does
yeah.
become your friend.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but yeah, I'm sticking
Yeah.
with Ceres.
Yeah. There is a feeling that you might die if you are friends with Rave because she seems to lose everyone that she cares about. However,
That's
I
true.
feel like Rave needs a bestie. She so needs it. She keeps pushing everyone away because she's scared, but I feel like she needs it. So I'm gonna be Rave's friend for her more than for me. So that's gonna be
How,
my answer.
how nice of you.
So thoughtful. Not gonna steal Khan off her yet. Okay. Would you rather Khan, King Ravenger, or Kingfisher as a mate?
How can I possibly choose? This is really hard. Because like, okay, gut reaction, I want to say Khan because he's like just he clearly loves so hard. But there is a little bit of con that's not quite enough bad boy for me, like
Okay. Yeah,
villain
yeah,
for
yeah. I
me.
know. Yeah, he's a bit of
I
a
need a villain. I need a little bit of a
he's
villain.
got a little bit of cinnamon roll in him. Yeah.
Yeah,
But in a
yeah.
gruff, sexy way that comes and rescues you. Like, I don't know,
Mhm,
she still balanced
mhm.
it really well. 'Cause normally that wouldn't be enough, but for some reason for Khan, it
It
works.
works for him. Yeah, it
Yes.
works. I think I'm gonna pick Ravenger. I
Mhm.
think just like the "I'll be a villain for you," like, just gets me
Just
every
gets me
time. Just
every
gets me every
time.
time.
And he's just got the
"Bert, I'll burn the
balance.
world for you." I want that.
Mhm, mhm. No, I'm 100% behind that. You know, King Ravenger for me is just everything. He's everything.
Everything.
And when he's just been ready to destroy the world, like for her, that's just
Yeah.
so good. So good. He's just, it's always going to be that for me. But Khan is definitely second best. And Kingfisher, like I love Kingfisher, but he's very dark. He's very like hot and it's great, but he's very dark. And yeah, I like, but they're all great. Like those, it's
Yeah.
very hard to pick
Well,
between
and
those.
I
They're all
think he's keeping secrets from her, and
mm, mhm.
I think, and maybe just because 'cause we've seen the evolution of King Ravenger, but, like, he doesn't keep secrets, and, I would be a lot like Violet. I would hate
Mm,
for secrets to be
yeah,
kept.
yeah, yeah. Okay. Would you rather be dying of thirst in the third or dying of the cold in the Seventh Kingdom of Play to Prisoner series?
Oh my god, this is a hard question. You did so good with these would you rather
I
questions.
know, you make them easy.
Well, I love the cold, so I feel like I'm gonna have to say I would rather be dying of the cold just because, like, I like to be cold, and I get so grumpy when I'm, like, thirsty and I don't have nothing to drink. It's, like, the same as being, like, hangry. I'm just, like, thirsty, I would not do well. So, especially, like,
Yeah,
I don't do well being hot and thirsty. It's a bad combination, my husband will
yeah,
tell you.
yeah. This would be a really hard one for me to answer because I don't like the cold at all. But then the third sounds kind of fun. Like you're super thirsty, but I also like that there's kind of these bars and carrions there,
That's
and I don't know,
true.
they're kind of hustling and stuff. It feels kind of adventurous. So I'm going to choose that just because I think the third is an interesting place to be, even though I'm going to have to drink dirty water, which is pretty gross. But yeah,
Yeah.
I'll go with that just to do something different. Okay. Would you rather steal an egg to get a dragon in When the Moon Hatched or kill a royal to get a Gryvon in Spark of the Everflame? I'm just.
Okay. I think for me, I'm gonna get an egg because like they're both hard. They're both very hard things to do. And so then I'm like thinking about like, well, what do I want at the end of it? And it's like the risk reward for me is much higher to have like a dragon as opposed to a Gryvon. The Gryvons are amazing. Love them, obsessed with them. Nothing beats a dragon for me, you
No,
know?
no.
Yeah.
And if you're talking about a moon plume dragon, like a good dragon, or
Yeah.
a silver
Yeah.
silver scythe? Silver scythe? That what that really dangerous
Saber
one?
side.
Saber scythe. That's like,
Yeah.
I'm so excited about that. Yeah, no, I'm on board with you that it'd be hard work to do it, but I think, and you don't have to kill anyone. You just have to try not to die yourself.
You
So
just have to try not to die. Yeah.
adventurous, but not quite as dangerous. Yeah, yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Would you rather that SJM's next ACOTAR book is Elaine's love story or Azriel's love story?
Easy, Asriel's. I would so much rather get Asriel's love story than Elaine's.
Yeah, that's not that hard, is it? All right, I'm giving you an easier one just to like, give you a little break from
Yeah.
the difficult ones. Okay. Would you rather be a Gwyn reel or an L reel?
That's a really good question. I think I would rather be a Gwynreel because
Okay.
I find Elaine to be so boring. I just
Mhm,
find nothing interesting about her as a
mhm.
character whatsoever. Like I hope we get more something going on
Yeah.
up there, but
Mhm.
like otherwise she's so vanilla. So like I don't want to ship her with Azriel,
Yeah.
I'd
Yeah.
so much rather ship Azriel with somebody who like has at least a little spunk and spark to them.
True, true. I'm like, I was a Gwyn reel before I became a Bryce Ariel, but now I feel like I've really fallen off that bandwagon to the point that I
I've
feel
fallen
like,
off of it too, yeah,
yeah,
but if
to
I
the
if I
point that
had
I'm
to do
sort of,
something
yeah, that as much as there was a couple of moments that were good, I think I would choose Elreal. You know what? There's this great Instagrammer, this cosplayer, and she does the most beautiful Elaine. And when I see her do the lines and that, it's so beautiful. And I'm like, oh well, if that's Elaine, like I can live with that. It's so pretty and that. But I don't really want them together. I don't think Elaine is enough for him. I think that it
No.
wouldn't be a very interesting story. We need to see both of them. They both need someone sparky. They need someone sparky to get them out of their shells. So they really need someone to, yeah, to explore that with. So just going to have to wait and see. Okay. Would you rather be bloodbound to Amarantha or Maeve?
Oh my gosh. Okay, what do we mean by bound
Well,
here? Like what Maeve has?
like Rowan like has to he
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
blood and then I can't remember how they did it now. It's been ages since I've read it, but he binds himself to
Yes.
Maeve. So if you had to, who would you pick out of Amarantha or Maeve?
Oh my god, this is so hard.
Yeah, it is.
Because like on the one hand, I feel like I could go with Amarantha because at the very least, like I don't think Amarantha is all that smart. And so like maybe I could just kind of like play her, like Reese plays her. But sometimes it's like, do you really want to be bloodbound to somebody who doesn't make smart decisions, you know? And like you have to follow if you can't like convince them otherwise. But then there's like Maeve who is terrifying. I think Maeve is like the best. I think Maeve is SJM's best villain. So I think yeah, I'm gonna stick with Amarantha because
Mhm.
there's at least hope that I can like trick her, you know?
Yeah, yeah. No, I agree with that. I think you're right on the money. And I think that's something really interesting that you raise when we come to thinking about what our next villain might be from Sarah J. Maas, because she's always had her biggest villains have actually been female. They've been
Yeah.
Amarantha, Maeve. And I feel like, are we going to see that again? Because I think I love because it's exploring that female strength, but in a villain and
In a
how
different way.
women rise to power. And honestly, I think that they're so much more terrifying than just a big bad guy. Like, or a monster. I really like how she has explored that in the past. I agree that I think Maeve is way more terrifying and hard to get around than it would be Amarantha. I'd go to Amarantha because one, they're under the mountain. They seem to have lots of parties and drink wine
That's
and
true.
fairy wine
Yeah.
and stuff like that. So it'd be kind of like a nice time as well. But
Yeah.
also, I think you've got a higher chance of like getting free of that with Amarantha compared to Maeve. Rowan was stuck with her for hundreds of years. Like it's going to be really hard to get around her and very hard to get free. So I agree with you there. Okay, couple more questions and then we're done. Would you rather be mates with Tamlin and everyone is free or be mates with Rhysand and everyone is trapped under the mountain for 50 years?
I'm still picking Rhysand because okay, look, 50 years in a Fae lifetime is nothing. Okay, sorry that Rhysand has to go through that. I'll help him heal, but I'm still picking Rhysand every day, all day, every day.
I get it. I get
Rhysand
it.
is my boy, you know.
I'd probably be the same. I'd be like, look, we just got to do our time and then we get happily ever after for the next
Yeah,
1,000
sorry,
years. So,
love you, my mate. Sorry you have to go through that, but you got to go through it.
okay. Okay. Last two are not really would you rather questions, they're just general questions. Okay. What do you want SJM's future series to be? What would you like her next series to be after this one?
Well, I want it to be the
Twilight of the
crossover,
Gods.
the Twilight of the Gods. Yeah, that's what I
Mhm.
want. But let's say that's off the table because I think that's like the obvious answer.
Mm.
Like, let's say that she's either already writing that or she's never going to write that. I would love to see her write a ACOTAR-like world that is maybe a little bit darker and grittier, that has some of the darkness that we see in Throne of Glass and Crescent City, but this the spice and that we love in
Yeah.
ACOTAR with the character drivens that we love in ACOTAR. So like kind of like another Fey world, but like a little bit darker than ACOTAR.
Yeah.
If Throne of the Gods is off the table, or Twilight of the Gods, I mean.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you?
Same. I love the idea now of the mass universe all coming together. And I think that while I like what I've heard about what like Twilight of the Gods could potentially be, like exploring that Norse mythology, Midgard, end of the world sort of aspect. I think there's a huge, huge story there, and it's going to be just mind-blowing if that eventuates. So, of course, that's my number one. I love the idea, though, of still exploring multi-universes. So I'd love something back in like Throne of Glass world. I feel like I know it kind of closed there, but I don't feel like it's finished for me. I would love to be back there again and seeing those characters again. So I would also love something from that space. But look, I just hope whatever she creates, that it's super entertaining and exciting. I think that's the main thing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
All right.
Definitely.
Final question. What theory do you want to come true? Of all the theories we have, what theory would you most like to come true?
Okay, I'm going to not let myself take any of your originator theories because I got to save those for you. Even though some of those are great. I would love for Violet's second signet to be the ability to like walk in people's perspectives or dream walk or something like that, because I just I love what that allows her to get with Xaden, and like how like that might help them be able to, and like they're gonna have a lot of tension dealing with it, you know, in the first part, because Xaden doesn't want people in his mind, but that I would love that theory to come true. And then I'm trying to think if I have another like really good ACOTAR theory.
Yeah.
I want Adis to still be good. I want all the rest of the Princes of Hell to be bad, but Adis stays good.
Yeah.
I want that.
Yeah. No, I like that. I mean, guys, you know what I want. I think everyone on Instagram knows what I want. I just need Bryce Ariel, and that's going to upset so many people, but that's what my brain, that's...
I want it too. You fully, thoroughly convinced me, and now I want that more than anything.
I didn't mean to fall into this. I so fell into this. I did not, you saw me when I first got that information, and I was laughing, and I was just like, this is ridiculous. They're on different planets.
I know, me too.
And then I started seeing the evidence, the shadows and the starlight and the holding hands. And then it was just like, oh my God. And then what the story, the biggest thing is what that story could potentially be and how epic it would be. Now, look, if Sarah ends up going a different path, but she still gives us a story of that epicness, I'm probably going to be pretty happy. But she gives us kind of an ordinary story and it doesn't rise to what we anticipate is going to happen. That would be disappointing. So I just hope, ultimately my hope is that we get this epic love story, multiverse, that's going to be so exciting. So yeah, there we go. Well done. That is our second game. So well done. You have achieved the Would You Rather. Okay.
Thanks. Yeah. Let's pause for a second, maybe. Sorry to make us edit. I'm just wondering. Okay, so we've finished Would You Rather. We have one more game for you that Nicole is going to lead for us. Nicole, would you like to tell me about this game?
Okay, this is a game I've created myself, and it's a flip a coin game. This is choosing your MMC, your ultimate MMC. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to have two options, and for every one, we're going to flip the coin. Because if I just told her to pick, she'd just pick the best one, and then it's not going to be fun. So, okay, you're going to get two options. We're going to flip a coin. You have to pick heads or tails, and then we slowly narrow it down. Okay. So the first option is King Ravenger or Bryaxis. So who do you want as heads and who do you want as tails?
Okay, this is not a trick coin, right? This is a real coin.
Actually, it's a Turkish coin from my recent travels. We've got a head. Can you see head on one side?
Yes.
Tails on the other. Okay. So who?
All right, I trust you. All right, so I'm going to put Bryaxis as tails.
Okay.
And King Ravenger as heads.
Okay, all right. Now I'm going to do a really bad flip. Hang on. Dropped it on the ground.
Oh no! Okay. I could not flip a coin. It's fun fact. It does not work for me.
It is heads. So okay, you've got King Ravenger. Well done. We got one on the board, and Bryaxis is gone. All right.
Thank goodness.
Okay, the next one you have Kingfisher and the Sage.
Well, okay.
All right, who do you want as heads and tails?
Okay, I am not going to trust that the universe will go the same. So this time I'm going to put Kingfisher as tails, the Sage as heads.
Okay, all right, here we go. at flicking this coin. Okay. It is heads. It is heads.
So I have the sage.
You have the sage. Okay,
okay.
we're down to the sage. All right.
Okay. Oh gosh.
I need to put a tick or something next to it. Okay. Kingfisher is a no. You do not have Kingfisher. Okay, the next option is Resand or Dane.
Oh my god. Okay. All right. Resand heads is what's happening. So Resand is gonna be heads.
Right.
Dane is gonna be tails.
Okay.
I'm so nervous. What's gonna happen?
Wait, I can't. It is heads. It is heads.
Woo! Okay, all right. I got my boy Resand.
Okay. Okay. The next one is Khan or Hunt. Who you gonna pick?
Okay, heads is just like doing it for me. Heads is my
Maybe
so
these
Khan is
coins
gonna be
are a
heads,
little.
Hunt
Maybe
is
these
gonna be
coins
tails.
are a little like miss like weighted. Let's see what it does.
Maybe. Oh no.
It is tails. Tails. You got Hunt. Hunt. Yeah. Okay. So no to Khan. Okay. Next we have Rowan and Tamlin.
Okay, I'm sticking with heads. That one was just a fluke. So Rowan is heads, Tamlin is tails.
Getting better at flicking.
Yeah.
Have heads. Heads.
Okay, I got Rowan.
Well done.
Rowan is my ultimate MMC, so.
Okay. All right. Swear this thing is doing heads majority of the time. Am I just flicking it weird? Okay, the next one is Cassian or Jack fucking Barlow.
Okay, Cassian goes on to heads and Jack fucking Barlow goes on to tails.
Oh, we have tails. We have tails. Okay. You have Jack Barlow. No Cassian for you. He's mine.
Oh my gosh.
All right. Final one. Final one is Azriel or Zayden.
Ooh, I'm kind of fine with either of these. So I'm going to put Zayden as heads, Azriel as tails.
Okay.
Let's see what happens.
We have heads.
Okay, I get Zayden.
You get Zayden. Okay. So now we are down to King Ravenger and Resand. We have Rowan. I have to hang on. I haven't done this very well because I was didn't know how to write down yes and no. But so and then we've got, all right, we'll do them a few at a time. Okay, so we've got King Ravenger and Resand. Who do you want to do? Heads or tails?
Okay, these are not bad, but I'm gonna make my boy Resand as heads and King Ravenger as tails.
Okay. Oh, I did a really bad flick. Hang on, wait, I'll do it again. I didn't flick it good. I did a bad flick. There we go. Okay. We have heads.
Okay, so I get Resand. Good.
Yes. I'll put a Y for yes next to that one. Okay. Next we have Rowan and Zayden.
Okay, I mean, I really can't go wrong here. So I'm gonna do Zayden as heads, Rowan as tails.
Okay. We have tails.
Okay, so I get Rowan. Not too bad.
Okay. Now comes the interesting ones. Hang on, we've got an uneven amount here. Okay, we'll have to do one twice.
I think I got this one too.
Oh, okay. So you got Jack and Hunt.
Oh my gosh. Okay. I guess I'll put Hunt as heads and Jack as tails. Hopefully I get Hunt.
Oh, we have tails.
Oh no, Dane. Or Jack, not Dane.
No, Jack. You got Jack. Okay, the last one is Hunt. Oh, wait, no, Dane or the Sage. Dane or the Sage.
Okay, Dane is going to be on heads and the Sage is going to be tails.
Okay. We have tails.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Sage. Okay, so we have remaining Rhysand, Rowan, Jack, and the Sage.
All right, I'm going to mix these around a bit to keep them interesting. Okay.
Okay, that's good. That's
Okay,
good.
all right. Rhysand or the sage?
Okay, I feel like the heads has been doing me wrong. So now we're gonna put Rhysand on tails and the Sage on heads.
Okay. All right.
Rhysand is tails.
I just did a really bad flick. Okay. We have heads. We have heads. So you are still strong for the sage. Well, you did say you had a thing for him. So
I did. I'm cursed. It's really
Okay.
I asked for this basically.
Okay. Rowan or Jack?
Rowan heads, Jack tails. Come on,
Okay.
don't do me wrong.
I went behind the door.
If anyone is listening to this not on YouTube, Nicole is just like flinging this coin everywhere. It's not ever landing on the desk in front of her. It's
Flip
just landing on the floor.
It's heads. Heads.
Okay. So at least I have Rowan this time.
Okay. Yeah.
So it comes down.
Still got a chance of someone that you're happy with. Okay.
Okay, Rowan or the Sage?
Final two. Rowan or the Sage. What is going to be your pick? I'll try and do a good flick. All right. Who are we going? Heads or tails?
I'm going with Rowan for heads, the Sage for tails.
All right, guys. Here we go. Moment of truth. Who is Allie's? Okay, went behind the door again. Okay. Oh my God, I lost it.
We'll never know. We'll never know.
Oh no. Where did it go? I see.
Nicole has lost the coin.
Here it is. Okay.
Oh, we found it. We found it.
Oh my God.
It flipped under her bookshelf.
Went under my bookshelf.
Okay. I feel like you should flip it again. I feel like we shouldn't go with that. I feel like I should get a real honest flip. Probably it landed how I want it to land, but I'm just, let's just do one more flick here. Let's do
one more.
Yeah.
All right. All right. So heads for Rowan, tails for Sage.
Tails for the Sage.
Oh wait, no, sorry. Again, I didn't even actually like spin. It just went up and down. Well, okay.
Did we lose it again?
Yes, I did.
It's flown into the closet.
I'm just like really bad at this.
This is really great entertainment,
Yeah, I know.
Nicole searching around her room for a coin.
Around for a.
I think the answer is that they're just maybe both my MMC.
I mean,
I don't know.
I saw the answer of the last flip, so I have the answer of that one. So
maybe that's what it is. That coin was found. So what was the answer for that flick?
It was tails.
No!
And I've lost my coin.
I brought this on myself by putting the Sage in my Hear Me Out. This is the universe being like,
and obviously, I know the universe was like, no, you cheated. So now I've made this disappear in the mess on my floor, and I will have to find the coin at a later date because it's not here. So.
You know what? I'll take the Sage. There's going to be some backstory there. He's going to have a lovable heart, and maybe has some red shadows that he has as a shadow daddy. Maybe his shadows are a little bit different. So I love a villain. I'll take it.
Awesome.
All right. Any final thoughts, Nicole, on the last year of the podcast?
Only thank you so much, Allie, for all your time and effort, all the work you've put into creating our Google Docs and just always being such an amazing co-host. I just appreciate, that there is time it takes to put these together. And Allie is always so lovely, so warm and friendly. And I consider her one of my best friends now. And this has just been a beautiful experience. So I just want to say thank you to you and thank you to the listeners for who have been with us, for whether you started at the very beginning or whether you've just tuned in recently. We appreciate you and I hope you enjoy this and we'll just keep doing what we do and growing. Have you got any final thoughts?
Well, I feel like you took all the good ones, but thank you to you. I echo everything that you said. It's been a really fun year. I feel like we definitely have built a friendship from just being random strangers on the internet. And now I can't wait to visit you in Australia and have you come to Utah one of these days. and thanks to everyone who's been listening. And I can't wait to see what happens in another year of the podcast. You know, it feels like it's really been growing a lot lately, and I'm super excited to see where that goes and
Yeah.
see all the books that we're going to read in the next year. So thanks to everyone for listening. That is all we have for you today. If you have not already subscribed or rated us, please do that. Like Nicole said, we're trying really hard to get to 500 subscribers on YouTube. So that is a big milestone for us. Give us a rating, give us a follow. It really helps us be able to be found by other listeners. And here's to another year.
I know.
Bye.
See you in 2025. Bye.